414,000 people, first-time unemployment claims. You know, not a shocking statistic if you follow this channel, because every week we talk about this number, and every week it's at this 400,000 plus mark, week after week, month after month, and now going on year after year. 87,000 people fall off emergency unemployment rolls, becoming non-persons. The mainstream media is not going to focus on these stories because it's become old news. We're not talking about the unemployed anymore. We're talking about the fantasy recovery we're having, or we're talking about the downfall of a congressman because he's engaged in sending personal messages via Twitter. It has absolutely no effect on you, your future, your family, or your family's future, but we're going to focus all of our time on this subject because it's a giant distraction, and distraction is the goal. They don't want you focused on the fact that 500,000 Americans lost their jobs and had to file for first-time unemployment claims. They don't want you to focus on the fact that 994,053 homes have been foreclosed on in this country this year, and that number would be a lot more if it wasn't for some states' attorney generals saying you're doing this fraudulently. They're not going to have you focus on the 1.6 million bankruptcies that have occurred this year alone, or the $114 trillion of unfunded liabilities by conservative estimates that puts every single taxpayer on the hook for $1,024,000. These are numbers that if they were brought to you by the mainstream media, would cause people to take to the streets in protest, like we see in another story that's not being reported, which is Greece. The citizens of Greece are pushing back. It's becoming more violent over there because they're gutless, coward politicians who do nothing but work for the banksters of that nation, the banksters that run the globe, are pushing back. They've had enough. We don't hear these stories because these stories would cause us to do the same thing. Take to the streets and demand justice. Demand that these too big to fail are the ones that are lined up and taking the haircut. The ones that are lined up and marched off to prison. They also don't want you to know that we're waging illegal wars around the planet, 5 of them by my count at this point, but we can't call Libya a war. We're pretending that somehow the Constitution doesn't apply to this war. But let me tell you what does apply. The $715.9 million that has been spent waging this non-war as of June 3rd that is projected to go to $1.1 billion by September 30th. The insanity, the hubris is going to be what destroys this nation. Stories are attached. That's all I got.